electronics in Kokomo, and I sat next to the guy that was the lead designer of the 1992 Science Cats, or later known as Techno Cats, 92 robot that drove on the corn. So I've seen first since day one. I've had a lot of experience as a team member since '98, but I have a lot of favorite robots. These aren't necessarily winning robots. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but they're very impactful robots for the FIRST community and for me, so I want to tell you about them. We do, by the way, have some videos. There's some videos inside of some of these slides, and they're hyperlinks to web videos. I didn't download them, so it's a little bit cumbersome, and bear with me as I cue to some of those, and I'm not going to play them all, or we'd be here for 3 hours, but let's get started. Like I said, we're going to talk about highlights that changed and formed FRC where it is now. I do want to give credit to teams who created really innovative designs that are now, kind of assumed to be standards. I want to recognize the best robots built, in my opinion, in FRC, and point out some dramatic design failures at times. And one of my prerequisites for this is I don't choose more than one robot from one team. So like, for instance, 254 has built amazing robots over the years. I just picked one of their robots. And the last time I gave this presentation, I gave it to Indiana teams, and those were some of my favorites from Indiana. But by all means, I think only 2 of those are on my top 20. So let's get started. Team 25 won the World Championships in 2006. It was one of those years where you didn't really need a floor feed. These poof balls were thrown over the top of a wall, and in auto mode, if you got balls shot into a circular goal in auto mode better than the other team, the game was essentially over. So they were one of the best shooters. It was kind of like shooting into the high boiler this year with a very rapid fire shot, but it was it needed to be linear in shot trajectory, much like the Stronghold boulders were shot. So think Stronghold, smaller balls, very, very fast shooting. These guys, what they did, and one of the reasons why they're here is they perfected a drivetrain that was really, really innovative and mimicked by many teams with regard to all-gear drive on their 6-wheel drivetrain. And actually, those 3 wheels, the middle wheel didn't, I believe it didn't have a drop center wheel. They had grooves on the tire treads on the back and the front wheels that were grooved in a manner that it would minimize the scrub as they turned sideways. They also had really good robots in 2000 where they won world championships, in 2003 when they pretty much destroyed every tote on the field that they ran across in 2003. 254 obviously has many good robots. They were world championships. They were world champions in 2011. They had a multi-stage telescoping lift system, and that's why I like this robot so much. They also had a mini-bot that deployed and went up the pole really fast. But they have the most elegant, in my opinion, most elegant design for a very precise and effective and well-packaged vertical linear lift system to place that tube. And it was elegant and clean. Also, they have some great videos from other years, but go ahead and click the highlight video, and we'll play a portion of it. Thank you. So the game that year was placing tubes on a rack, and so they had a roller claw that was pneumatically open and closed. So you get points by placing those tubes on the rack. You got more points if the tubes were placed in a manner that spelled out the first logo. The yellow tubes, I think, were were bonus tubes in some manner. I can't remember exactly the points. Those towers that you see there were towers that were little mini-bots would climb the poles. So they would grab the tube, place the tube very effectively, very wonderful lift system. Go ahead and cut that. Thank you. The next slide would be 2002, Team 60, and you're gonna see this robot in a later video. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But these guys, in 2002, we picked up soccer balls and we put them in these goals that were mobile, and the mobile goals each weighed 180 pounds. There's 3 of them on the field. Your robot still weighed about maybe 150 with bumpers and with a battery. So teams would latch a hold of a goal or maybe 2 goals, and they got a whole bunch of downforce to the carpet if they picked up the goals and had all that force going through their tires to the tread. So that's when shifter transmissions really started. These guys had I think it was a plate shifting transmission where they had 2 rubber plates that hit. Our team had a dog gear shifter on 45 when I was on 45, and that's how that all started. But these guys also powder coated everything. They were the first team to put inline conveyor belting, we know as wedge top tread, on wheels. And this robot, if you look at the picture in detail, they were really one of the first teams to focus on very neat and precise electronics packaging. You'll see a video of them later. Okay, so my 17th 357 didn't have necessarily a super high competitive robot, but we would not know what Mecanum wheels are without this team. So kudos to Royal Assault and their gesture drive for their omnidirectional Mecanum wheels, and it all became true because they have some contact with AirTrax forklifts. So go ahead and play the AirTrax forklift video. And you've seen these maybe in a Star Trek movie, and you can find these out there. I was shopping for forklifts last year, and those things sell for about, they were selling for $35,000 new. You can find a used one for about 20 grand, but that company's now out of business, sadly. But they inspired all of us to do something with Mecanum wheels, so thanks to these guys. Thank you. Beachbots in 2005, they were the world champions. They had a single actuated arm that was, let's say their shoulder raised up an arm that picked up a tetra and placed it on a triangular goal. It was easy to control, and this is one of those years where I learned a lesson as a mechanical design mentor on my team. Keep it simple, stupid. A KISS design versus a complex design won out in 2005. So the robot on the left in the picture is the team that I was on, Team 45. We had a turret, we had a lift, we had a shoulder, we had an extension, and we had a grabber. So our poor operator had to do 5 things to pick the tetra up and place it on a goal. We came up against 67 and 330 and 503 in the semifinals of our division. 67 just comes up with their single actuated arm, picks up a tetra, places it, done, go to the next one. Like, holy crap. We just got slaughtered by this very simple, effective robot. Go ahead and play the video, please. This was the first year of 3 robots against 3 robots. The yellow robot that's on that alliance that's closest to us, not the one with the big fork, that's the yellow robot that's nearest to the alliance station is 330s. All they have is a simple 1 degree of freedom arm. They're going to pick up tetras and they're going to place it on those goals. You got points for picking up the tetra and placing it on the goal. You got more points by owning the tetra, by at the end of the match having a blue, if you're blue, well they're red, so are they red? No, they're blue, sorry. So you got more points at the end of the match if the blue tetra, if you're blue, was on top of the goal. And you got even more points if you created a tic-tac-toe across the field. There were 9 different goal points. So you can see 330 here go back and forth with this single articulated arm, grabbing tetras from a human player right there, going to place it onto the goal. Very simple, very effective. Don't make it too complex. Thank you, let's cut that. Thank you. Technocat, TKO Robot, my favorite year. I think my favorite robot while I was on 45 was this one. We had a shifting drill transmission. We had a metal track drive that eventually was, you can't do that at first because people put metal cleats on their treads and such, and that ripped up carpets eventually, and if you didn't do it right, it would tear up the field. I don't think we ever tore up the field. But anyway, you would get on top of the puck, and you would get points by being on the puck. You would get points by putting the puck in one side of the field or the other. And the only match I remember losing that year, matches were when we broke. We were pretty brutal. And go ahead and play the video. We'll talk through this.
The might of the mind got them this far.
That guy's now a fireman in Kokomo. I see him once in a while. Pretty cool. This is back when Woody introduced every match. He was the MC of every match.
Battle for puck supremacy.
So battling for the puck, getting on the puck was the key thing here. Also we had, there's Dean.
They're down on their back. It hasn't happened before. The defending champs
I don't know what I was wearing on my head there.
They right themselves.
So we get up on the puck, and we do a move that would be, we'd probably be red carded for the entire regional or championships if we did this now, but that was legal back then. Pretty rough. And we got awards for doing things like that. It was crazy. No bumpers. It was.
Could have been any better.
First time we've ever fallen over this year. Oh, yeah! It worked right. Okay, thank you. Go ahead and cut. That was fun. Okay, so this is 2004 is 190, Team 190 from 2004, and they dominated the top bar. That top bar you see in the picture was 10 foot tall. And you got points by scoring the purple balls in the PVC tube goal. And then you got even more points by doubling all those balls by putting a cat ball on top. Oddly enough, the robot couldn't put the purple ball in the goal. The student player had to shoot it from the Alliance station. Kind of odd. They had a telescoping arm. Actually, I was just corrected. I was talking to Nick Galati, who was on this team like a half an hour ago, and he said the CVT was on the prior year robot, but he told me a nice story about this team. This is back when encoders were too expensive to put on your robot. So he said that they used an AOL.com CD-ROM, and they painted it black and white, and they had a banner sensor, and they made their own encoder to put it on the wheel of the robot, because in auto mode, you had to track straight onto the platform, and you'll see this, and then you wanted to get to the bar as soon as you could. So the name of their game was getting to that bar, getting up there, and then defending the goal or scoring the ball from the bar. And you'll see they had a little trouble getting to the bar in this video. Go ahead. So they're in auto mode now. They don't have their arm up yet, but they're going to get some defense played on them. Now it's teleop. Here comes somebody. I don't know who that is. Maybe 121, maybe. But they say, no, we don't want you on the bar. No, stay away from that bar. But no, they're going to get on anyway. So that was pretty cool. There we go again. All right. One more time. Okay, that was at an off-season event after Champs. It was the talk of the summer, that move. We all like that pretty much. So thank you. Number 13 is one of the early robots from 1996. This is well known as being I think they won Worlds in 96. I can't remember exactly, I should know that. But the reason why I like this robot, it's at Manchester in first place, and it was a very meticulously polished, groomed, well-packaged robot. So it set the example early on for making a robot beautiful. If your robot looks like trash, people will assume it performs like trash. And in this case, it did very well being a beautiful robot. Number 12 is probably my most recent team. I don't have really anything after 13 because you guys can get those videos and you probably have favorites that I don't. You know those from 13 on, you know those robots as well as I do. These guys in 2012 had a very smooth swerve drive. They had a vision tracking shooter They were very accurate. They had floor pickup, and they were a good balancer. They gave, like a week before the World Championships here, they gave us all a video that showed how good they were to score 30 points in the end game. So go ahead and play the first video. This is in their shop in California, and this is their advertisement to us that they're serious and they're going to score a lot of points on the rest of us. I don't think there's any audio. They're just going to drive around. You can only hold three balls in your robot that year. So they're going to pick up balls, go up to the bumper there and fire into the top goal. You get more points for the top goal than you do the smaller goals or the shorter goals on the side. So they had a tower feed system to a turreted shooter with a high-speed single-wheel shooter, and it was very effective. You would notice that's a pretty simple layup, but so they got 27 points, not 30. I think they counted a ball at the end. Anyway, so go ahead and cut that. But it was not this function wasn't as easy to do back then as it is now. Well, even this year it was hard to shoot those fuel balls. Chaos in Team 2000. I'm actually I'm gonna show this video now. I'm gonna show the video later. So I'm giving you a sneak preview to another robot. I met Dave and Nancy Kelso, who are the lead teachers on this team. I saw them this year in 2000. I think I met them maybe the year prior. And I was on Technocatch. There's like 10 mentors and maybe 20 kids on my team. And I see Dave and Nancy. How you doing? How you liking Disney World here? And they said, well, this is great. We got 17 kids and us 2 adults, period. That's it. No engineering mentors, no skilled trades guys or women, just 2 teachers, 17 kids, and they have a wonderful robot. It was very effective. To this game, they would take a black ball out of the goal. A black ball it was worth 5 points. The yellow ball was worth 1 point, and you could de-score the balls out of your opponent's goal and put it into your goal. And they took out Team 47's best robot. Go ahead and play the video.
How about these guys in red?
Team number 126.
And on this video, I think, could you fast forward to about 2 minutes in? No, I'm sorry. Make it 1 minute. Period. Yeah, that's good. So this is the beginning of the match. Go ahead. So this is the first year we had a large field. 47 is right there picking up a black ball and a yellow ball.
And Chief Delphi.
131 Chaos is on the other side of the field, right there. You see them briefly. They're going to come. They have a black ball stored in the back. That's them on the right, and they're going to try to block 47 here. This is the 47 was the extremely high resource team with a lot of skill building this wonderful robot against the student-built team from Manchester. And the student-built team is going to come along and de-score those balls, get those balls out of there. And then, oops, he's not liking that. So there goes the black ball. And also you'll notice in this match, Heatwave 312 pretty much tackles 131 there. Again, today they wouldn't let us do it that way, but that's what we did back then. And then they get back up.
Chaos trying to get back on his feet. Chaos.
So 131 still has the black ball. There is like a 6 foot tall bar in this game. 312 is going to go hang as 131 went and placed that black ball. And then 47 tries to get rid of the ball. I'm going to go ahead and cut this now. So we'll get back to this video here in a little bit. Thank you. Let's keep going. So this is the Grasshoppers, Team 95 in the year 2002. If you remember in 2002, I talked about the 180-pound goals, and they had to pick up size 4 soccer balls. And this is back when we didn't have a lot of power in the kit. You couldn't use up to 6 sim motors. I think this might have been the first year for the sim motor, and it had a really odd module pinion gear already integrated to the shaft. There's no 8mm shaft. We had to wire EDM gears to integrate with that pinion gear. They had a tube roller, and they put their sim motors on the tube roller, and they put some lighter powered motors on their drive, so they couldn't push anybody around. They were a pretty high speed robot, you'll see in a little bit, but they put most of their power into the task of collecting balls. So they really sacrificed their drivetrain power for collecting balls. And once this happened, once we saw this video, collecting balls on a field was not the same. Everybody who designed a ball collector was told to go look at this video. And it's pretty quick, and we're gonna play it once, so check this out. All right. Play it twice. Okay, thank you. Those are soccer balls. Those aren't lightweight little gopher balls that we've dealt with this year. Really lightweight, really heavy soccer balls, a lot of power put into that collection system. And I don't think they won a regional that year, but that was an inspirational design for the rest of us. The pink team has always been known for wonderful robots, and probably their most notable thing is their pink arms, or their collapsible, highly machined, usually cascade effect chain drive system that as you extend one stage, the multiple stages of the arm extend. In this case, in 2008, that was the big ball overdrive year, so they would grab a hold of the big ball, get it, and then drive around the field with the ball. And that arm was entirely CNC machined. It was amazing, and if anybody was making a telescoping tubular arm, they would go to the YouTube or wherever to find videos and pictures from the 233's arm. So they inspired us all. In 2002, Paul Copioli led the Thunder Chickens, and now he's the president of Vex Robotics, and they had a Planetary CVT, and we actually partnered with them that year in World Championships. So a CVT is a continuously variable transmission, and they had one motor that steered the module, and one motor that powered the module, and one motor that spun the ring gear of a module to give us a variable transmission feature. So 3 motors on each pod to drive this robot. It was quite unique. There's been other CVTs, but the odd thing about this one is they published the design that following summer. They said, hey, here's how we did this. It was so good that another team picked up that design, recreated it the next year, and got design awards for that design that they used from 217. So thanks to 217 for having awards on other teams to be won by. In 2007, I was a judge at the Bayou Regional, and I didn't really like being a judge because of this robot and one thing that happened. If you guys didn't know, there's judges by the field that watch the matches. Every match usually is watched by a judge, so they know what robots work, what robots break down, those kinds of things. So we're deliberating about 118's robot, which, by the way, had, I think 4 or 3 sim motors in the upper picture. I think another 4 550 series motors in the upper picture. And that was the power plant that powered the chain that went to all of the swerve drive modules on their robot. So it was one massive engine powering one chain that went to drive all the wheels. They had another power system that went to a chain that created the swerve drive action on each of the wheels. It was something that nobody's seen in FIRST. I'm not sure we've seen it since. It was amazing. It worked really well, but I never forget, we're back in the judges' room, and the match observer judge said, we were talking about these guys winning a technical award, and he said, I don't know. That team, they broke down one match because I heard that they lost a machine key out of one of their motors. So I don't know if they should win a technical award. I was like, are you kidding me? I've never seen anything like this. This is inspirational to the nth degree, right? And they got to win some kind of a technical award. It's all these kids, all these adults out there are inspired by this. So they won something, I forget, but that's one of the things that made me frustrated about being a judge, because we do debate these things, and those things happen. Go ahead. Oh, that's me. Hot team in 2012 was a very effective robot. They've had wonderful robots for many years out of Michigan. They're a GM-sponsored team. And they had a very effective design for picking up the balls. The bottom right-hand corner is the robot balancing on the bridge in 2012. And that arm that hung over the bridge, that helped them balance the bridge. So it was a very robust arm that kind of touched the floor and the bridge would balance up. Also, the arm was really triple purpose. It was an arm that picked up a ball and then would drop it into their shooter. So that means it was outside the bumper. So the third thing about the arm that was important was it was very robust. So robots would come around and hit the arm, and the arm would withstand impacts from many other robots. Allegedly, I know there is a documented case of sabotage at the World Championships here in St. Louis that year, but there were some also very mysterious non-connection issues in Michigan. I don't know all the details of that, but it was a wonderful robot. They were the one to beat. In the finals of some of their matches, there was some alleged sabotage that radio frequencies were being broken into, so that was unfortunate. Wildstang, Team 111, they're here. They've always had very, very good robots. And 2003, you gotta know, was the first year of auto mode. So imagine sitting at kickoff, it's January, you're looking forward to a new game, and they say, oh yeah, the first 15 seconds of the matches are gonna be autonomous. You're thinking, what? What's that? How do we deal with that? No one before that point built 2 robots. No one before that point had any sort of idea what auto modes were. So this was a big deal. At the same time, these engineers and these students on Wildstang, the engineers were working for Motorola, and Motorola was involved in automotive electronics and GPS systems and those kinds of things. So they developed on things that looked like Palm Pilots. It was Motorola's version, I forget the name, but they developed a program where you would take your stylus and you would pick waypoints to describe the autonomous path that their robot would drive. So they would carve out or draw out their auto mode on a little pendant, and it would do that. That was the first year of autonomous mode. This year, you would knock down stacks of totes placed there by students before the match. So you'll see students running on the field, placing these stacks of totes. The robots would drive around, knock them down. So it was I think the game was Stack Attack, and all it was about knocking down stacks, not making stacks. And at the end of the match, really the robot that was on top of the field, on top of the hill at the end of the match got the most points. So you'll see this in the video. Go ahead.
From Schaumburg, Illinois.
Again, there's Woody introducing each one of the matches. God love him, he's great.
469, Exide Technologies, Johann A. Kraus Incorporated, Precision Race, Las Gorillas.
On the other end of the field.
We were in Houston.
Yes.
Team number 341,
The Reliant Stadium, wonderful facility, Reliant Stadium, but all of our pits were in the Astrodome next door.
UTC, Hamilton, Sunstream Space Systems International.
People complain about,
Robotics.
people didn't complain about being in the Astrodome, because that's a wonderful place, even though it's an old dome.
Heads up.
So here we go. Maybe. You'll see students running out on the field, placing the totes, or the Sterilite totes, that was the name.
2, 3, go.
So there they go. Place the totes. Wildstang is in the bottom right-hand corner. They're the rightmost robot. And they're going to drive and they're going to knock down these totes, not even knowing where they're going to be. 175. And this stage, you're knocking down the totes. Here comes 111. All that sheet metal made is wonderful.
Up on top of the ramp right now. 2 players in control. Oh, there goes.
So from here on out, the game of the game was knocking down your opponent's stacks, pushing totes onto their side of the field, I think, and playing King of the Hill. So notice their wings they had. If you try to go up and push them, you would drive up on top of their wings and they would just go forward a little bit and they would knock you over. So it's really hard to defend and get them off of the top of the ramp.
Wildstang coming down the ramp. Still have one stack remaining in the red corner. Wildstang comes back up. Miss Daisy.
Go ahead and stop the video. I got to keep moving. Symbolics in 2008 had a wonderful robot. They won the world championships. They had a dominant auto mode. They had a really clean ball pickup and launcher, low CG, low profile. They picked up the ball. They drove around the field. They shot the ball, and they kept their arm up while they kept driving around the field. It was a very elegant, simple design. You're going to look at this and what's so special about that? They were the best at doing this task in 2008. Go ahead with the video. So you got points for driving around the field in auto mode. And you got points for grabbing a big ball of your color and tossing it over the overpass. They're in the red bumpers, and they're nearest to us. They just now went underneath the overpass. So they're going to grab a red ball. They have a big fork that looks like this. 148 there has a Nonagon drive base. 217 is their partner with the other red ball. They have 217 has the green bumpers. So there they shot it. It bounces. They're going to pick it up again, drive around, shoot it again. Really elegant, really effective, hard to beat, which no one did. Well, in the finals at least.
Chickens make it over.
I think they got hit that time. There was a lot. It was a really hard game to referee. I was the head referee in a few regionals. Go ahead and stop that video.
67 the hot team.
Las Gorillas in 2010 had a robot that really locked up the game. In 2010, you got soccer balls. You would kick them into a low goal, and when the ball went into the goal, the student human player would grab the ball, put it into like a feeder system that was a trough, and the ball would slowly roll down the trough and drop itself off into the beginning of the middle section of the field. And most teams I've talked to, they said, well, let's just take that ball and we'll just redirect it back into the goal. Well, that'll be easy, right? Well, no, it wasn't easy. A lot of people thought of this during the brainstorming process, but only really what I know of is one team that did it really, really well. So let's play that video. They are located right now, they're the tall robot in the middle section with red bumpers. They have a tall thing that is going to be their mechanism to catch the ball and redirect it into the goals. If they get locked, so they're a really good middle field shooter. So if you block them out of that red and white box there where they're going to right now, if you block them out of there, they would just stay in that middle section and shoot right over you and score balls into the goal. They had to be a good shooter to do that. Now they're stuck in there. Once they're stuck in there, you aren't getting them out. They're locked. You can't get them out. See the balls trickling into the field. And 217 Thunder Chickens, they're doing a pretty good job of blocking them for now, but they can't keep this up the whole match. Also, if you think about it, Thunder Chickens was a really good scorer. And all they're doing is playing defense. So Thunder Chickens is being shut down the entire match because they have to play defense on Las Gorillas. So here comes more balls. And eventually the balls are harder and harder to defend. Notice also Thunder Chickens robot there in the blue that's defending the cycling balls. You can only grab that soccer ball and pull it into your robot for 3 inches. You couldn't take it all the way in. You couldn't put it in a bucket or a basket. You can only have the ball into your robot for 3 inches. That was really a hard design task to do. So I think they start scoring them here better. Somebody got tipped over on their back. I don't know who that was. Maybe 245, but there goes the ball. I mean, it's painful to see if you're on the other team. It's hard to stop. Let's go ahead and stop that video. Thank you. Team Hammond in 2002 had a walking beam drive. They started up vertical, they flipped down, and they started walking toward the goals. This was the year that had those 180-pound goals. They would grab 2 goals with their arms and 1 goal with the chest of their robot, and they would get all 3 goals. They would winch in the arms, or reel them in, and they get them all tight. And once they had all those goals in and tight, you couldn't stop them. They had these walking beams with file cards addressing the carpet, They would just walk slowly toward the zone. They were against, in this match, Team 60. They could grab, I talked about them earlier, they grabbed 2 goals and lifted them up. So it was like immovable object versus irresistible force. So go ahead and play that video.
1, 2, 3, go!
So Team Hammond's on the right, they're grabbing all 3 goals, they got them all grabbed. 60 just came out quicker than them, and they're pushing them into a zone that is beneficial for Team 60. Right where that zone is right now, underneath where it says 142, that if those goals stay in that zone, Team 60 and their partner wins. So right now, Hammond's in a world of hurt. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds in the match. I'm going to ask my video guy up there to fast forward about 40 seconds. There, that's fine, that's fine. Notice now, they're slowly crawling, thank you, slowly crawling all the way to the middle zone. Now there's 2 goals in the middle zone, 1 goal in that zone that scores for the team on the left. And they're continuing to crawl. Those 2 teams are fighting against them. Also notice there's these little bots with tethers. Team 60 has a tether, and 66 has a tether. You got points for touching the end zone that you started in. You got 10 points for doing that. So all these tethers and extensions would go out. Notice we're still crawling. We're still crawling. Now there's 2 goals in the neutral zone in the middle. There's 1 goal in the scoring zone for Team Hammond. And they're not going in. You're not going to push them. So this is game over. Team 60 was a wonderful robot. They lifted both goals up. They couldn't beat these guys. Thank you. So that was a pretty awesome thing. Now, being in Indiana, and those guys are in Indiana, I had to go against that like probably 2 or 3 times. My favorite robot, in my experience in first, is Chief Delphi in 47. And they did not win the World Championships. I think they won 2 out of the 3 regionals they went to. And they were the team that was against 131. It was a very elegant, very highly engineered tubular design. They had this big, huge ball collector, you'll see it, and they had a swerve drive. They were the team that started the swerve drive phenomenon here in first. I think they had their first swerve drive in 98, I think. They had okay, so around the perimeter of the robot, you'll see this aluminum skirt. Well, this is the first year that first said you could have a bumper on your robot. And the bumper, the definition of what a bumper was an energy-absorbing material. An anvil is an energy-absorbing material. I think they were thinking of foam tubes, obviously, or poodles, but aluminum was a fine bumper according to the rules. So go ahead and play the video.
This is going to be tough.
And fast forward about a minute in.
These guys in red.
Thank you for that. Okay. There you go.
Up and over the
So the
ramp,
amazing
Gale
thing here,
Force,
they're going to pick up the black and yellow ball. They're going to go sideways. No one did that for like 2 or 3 years. Well, Wildstang did it, and hardly anybody did it. And they started the whole effort. This big tubular telescoping design was so immensely inspirational to me. Then this big, huge ball depositor and ball grabber was spitting out balls and sucking up balls. It was pretty amazing. Now, you've seen this video, and 131 steals their ball. So I think we'll fast forward another minute or so, if you can stay with me.
Back to the human player station.
That's good. So right here, they're trying to grab the ball at the end, and you'll notice the big basket grabber has a weld that breaks at the end, and this is the thing that ruined this team's chance at the end of the year. So they're fighting against 131 to keep them from scoring that black ball. Their kids are happy because they're keeping them out. Then all of a sudden the weld breaks on this highly engineered grabber right on this wrist joint up there, right about here. So that was a cringeworthy break. Kind of taught me not to depend on welds for me as a designer. So that's the end of that video. Thank you. So those are my top 20. If you got any questions, we have some microphones around. I'm not sure how much time I have, but if you have a couple, maybe we'll take 2 or 3 questions, and you can go to the microphone and ask. If anybody has anything. Anything? Going once, going twice. Sold. Okay. You guys have a great rest of your week. Congratulations for being here, and good luck.